right. So recently, David Collinsworth from the Prison Show, he asked me to do a segment on my page from Prison to Purpose, and also a book that I just released named GRIDLOCK. Just to give you a little idea of who I am, my name is Johnny Ward, and I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas. I've spent roughly 17 years in juvenile and adult, in the adult criminal justice system. I was basically a career criminal. I grew up in a real dysfunctional, troubled upbringing. That led me to get shot by a police officer when I was 21. I went to prison, I got out, I went back to prison with the 20A, and I spent the last 10.5 years in prison. But while I was in prison, I sought education. I entered with the 7th grade education, and I completed a master's degree through the University of Houston Clear Lake last year in 2019. So I've been released for 10 months now. I was placed on GPS monitor, and because of GPS monitor, I was like really limited on what I could do. You know, an example of that would be like, I have a father right now that's battling cancer, and he's seeking, chemotherapy, but parole stipulations say that I can't visit my family member because that's considered recreational. Now, if he died, I could go to the funeral, but I can't see this man fighting for his life right now. So that's one of the issues that I've had, and there's been multiple issues, being released from prison after like lengthy sentences. And so after my release, I was kind of frustrated, and I started the blog from Prison to Purpose. And I started just venting about some of the things that I was going through. Some of the stipulations that parole places on people. It's actually it can be a barrier to reintegrating back into society. So I would kind of discuss those things. And being in prison, I made a lot of strong relationships. I had a lot of good friends. I was in school for close to a decade, and being in school, I had a lot of friends that were they were just like me. They were athletes, and they were writers, and they were on this road to progression, and they were in this constant state of trying to do more and trying to do better. And so after I started from Prison to Purpose, and I had this about 13 different guys that were writing me, and majority of these guys all have master's degrees. And that was one thing that was unique, because at the University of Houston Clear Lake Ramsey program, that's one of the only master's degree programs in the nation. So when I graduated with my master's degree, there was only 3 of us. So, in looking back and having this strong network of friends and writers and educators and speakers and artists, these are just awesome men. I said, you know what? I should collaborate. I should make something that where everybody could get involved. And so that's the kind of the direction that I went in. And so it took me, I guess, roughly 3 months to write this book. The Prison to Purpose page, it started back in March. Initially somebody had helped me start the page, but now I'm just kind of doing it by myself. But and it expanded. It kind of blew up overnight. It really did. It's been real humbling, that I can get on there and I can kind of share my thoughts and my feelings, and people connect with that. When doing that and telling my friends about this and putting this anthology together, the first chapter, it's prisoners, felons, criminals, who are we? And so in the first chapter, I have all these stories that kind of, they're personal narratives from my friends, the things that they've been through that kind of not only put them in prison, but allowed them to go in a positive direction in their life. So I thought that was really important to first find out, who is incarcerated? And then the second chapter was on education, and, does it work? And I can speak for myself, and the reality is education worked for me. I'm not saying it's the only route, but it is a route. Because you have vocations too, like all my buddies here where I work at Slinging Ink. Like my friend Dre here, he did 17 and a half years, and he tattooed behind prison walls, and now he's out here and he's tattooing. And really basically everybody in this shop, the guy Anthony Hong that started this shop, he wanted to give opportunities to men that were getting out of prison. So basically everybody that works here was in prison at one time. And Dre will talk to you about that in a moment. So I had a chapter, so back to the book. So I had a chapter on education, does it work? And then the next chapter was perspectives. Because, people, they look at people that are incarcerated and they think, these guys, they're all idiots and they don't know much. And that's why they're in prison. But the reality is there's some really strong academic minds in prison. And so for me, I kind of wanted to generalize a chapter and discuss various issues from dehumanization to race, to stigmas, to I just kind of gave them free range. I was like, you know what, you write about whatever you want to write about. And then the next chapter was truth and twisted reality. And for me, like working on my graduate degree, I had a lot of creative writing classes. And so in creative writing classes, you kind of have free reign. You can kind of talk about whatever you want to talk about. And I had some pieces that I had worked on, that one element of them, I let Dre read it. He was like, man, this is like a Pulp Fiction movie.
Yeah, it was.
But anyway, but it was just, I wanted to afford an opportunity to have a chapter in there where there wasn't no restraints. You can kind of just write, and in the end of the day, people are gonna like it or they're gonna spike it, right? It's just like art. And so then another section, it was in prison poetry. And so I put a whole section in there on poetry. And then in the last chapter, it was a letter to prisoners and their families. So what I did is I tried to put a whole bunch of content in there that dealt with some of the issues that I was dealing with when I was incarcerated, and some of the issues that I was dealing with gaining freedom. Because there's a huge body of individuals, and a lot of people in prison live in their minds. And then what happens is you're released, and you go from an environment where your responsibilities are limited. You may go to rec, you may go to the craft shop, you may go to school, you may go to chow, but that's it. And then you come out here and you're bombarded with responsibilities. Maybe you have, a family now, and now you need to get a driver's license, and now, you got to get medical insurance, you got to get employment, and then, if you've been locked up for 10 or 15 years, technology has come a long way. So me, on my own personal journey, I was seeing all these roadblocks, and then a lot of times the parole system doesn't help. They don't take all that stuff into consideration. And so it's real easy for guys to get so overwhelmed and so frustrated that they commit crimes and they end up back in prison. So I said, you know what, I need a dedicated chapter, not only to the guys that are getting out of prison for some of the things that they need to look out for, but I need to give something to the guys that are still in prison so they know what to do in the name of progress, in the name of bettering themselves. So I put a book list in there, and I put resources. And anyway, at the end of it, man, I was really proud of, kind of how this whole anthology came together. So, I urge you to get the book. It's on Amazon, GRIDLOCK, an anthology of prison narratives. My name is Johnny Ward. And if you visit my page, From Prison to Purpose, it's on Facebook. Now Dre, now getting back to Dre, so how long have you been out now, Dre?
I think a total of 6 months, give or take, yeah.
And how long were you gone?
I was gone for 17 years. I got incarcerated at the age of 17. Turned 35. Then I was released a few months after that. Had to go through a program that had no relation to me, but they said because of the length of time that I was gone, that it was supposed to help the transitioning into the free world, so to speak. And so, given this opportunity by my friend Anthony, that I've known for about 15 years, didn't see him for a while, then we met back up, and he presented this opportunity because, in there, it's a gamble, basically, like dealing with contraband, bleach, gloves, of course, and all the other stuff to, exercise our art skills, but willing to take those chances to excel, you know, that was what I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I mean, it's just a means of surviving, you know, taking care of myself, making sure I don't need or want for anything. As time went on, you know, being released, I got good at it, and, you know, I was given this opportunity as well in San Antonio, you know, me being from San Antonio, and then Anthony presented it with here, and since me and him were on the same page of what we were trying to do, and, you know, I accepted it, and, you know, things were slow at first because this is a baby in the business, so to speak, if that's what you would want to call it. And so as time has gone on, you know, and basically just letting our art, you know, speak for itself, it's starting to pick up now. You know, fortunately, we've had clients who are trying to commit their loyalty to us as far as they're happy with the art that we give them. And, you know, things like that are just a good thing for us because, you know, in all seriousness, this was a passion of mine that I've dreamed of doing. And so once given the opportunity to do it, I figure, like, why not excel at it and just be all in with it. And, you know, so far things have been all right, you know. And, you know, our plans are to continue to grow and, you know, see how far we can go with this. And it was just, it was a blessing.
And so how does it, excuse me, how does it feel to be around so many guys that have done time?
The environment in itself is real chill. It's pretty good because you understand each other. There isn't anybody that I can say something in some type of lingo, you know, that maybe only we would know. And it isn't bad or anything like that. It's just, you know, just words. I guess it's another terminology, you know, because inside there it's a whole nother subculture in itself. And so, you know, we'll do it for kicks for fun and, you know, things of that nature. But really, other than that, you know, it's good because we're all on the same page. Everybody's drug free. Nobody's trying to recommit or try to do anything to jeopardize the opportunities we've been given. So, you know, to live our dreams life, you know, as far as like, this is what I wanted to do in my life, just push out art in every form or fashion that I can, whether it be painting, graffiti, drawings, tattooing, things of that nature. And so given this platform now, it's just like trying to make the most of it, and I'm appreciative of it.
Yeah, it is hey, that's one thing, man. I love coming to work. I do. You know, this is just for me, this is just a moment in time. Like, what I'm, like, long term is I want to gain a professorship. That's what I want to do. I want to teach and I want to educate. But this is a means right now. And it's, I mean, I love, you know, coming in and doing the things that I do, whether it's airbrushing or whatever, fixing something or, you know, for using my hand, whatever the case may be. But just the whole environment is just an awesome environment. And, you know, everything is in the season in life, you know, and so, like, right now, this is a really good season. And I want to thank David Collinsworth for, you know, providing me this opportunity. You know, I watched the prison show. I used to listen to the prison show when I was in prison. I recommend everybody for pick up Gridlock. It's either on ebook or on paperback. Visit From Prison to Purpose, or come down here, and if you want to meet us or talk to us, we're at 1907 Chestnut Avenue in Houston, Texas, and the name's Slang and Eat. So, I mean, get with us. Bye-bye.